Hello, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to show you guys this plant that I just bought. I went to the nursery today and they had this plant on their flyer. It was 2 for $5, so $2.50 each. And you can see it's a very tall, statuesque plant. And it's called Eryngium. And this one is called Blue Glitter. So you can see how it has these prickly types of flowers here. These are going to turn into a bright blue. I got 4 of them because my plan is to put them on either side of my 2 lilac trees. So right now I have echinacea down there, and this plant, it's kind of likes the same conditions as lavender. So it likes poor soil, well draining, very hot. Kind of the more hot, the more blue the flowers are. And I believe it goes up to zone 8 from what I read, and I'm in zone 8. So it should, I'm not expecting obviously anything this year, but I'm hoping for next year that this plant gives me a really nice display. And because it is such an unusual kind of plant with very finely dissected leaves here, it's very unique and the color is very unique. So I think it'll really draw attention in the garden. And yeah, I got 4 of them, and they were kind of clearing them out, I think. But they had a lot of them. And I'll just show you the roots because I was kind of struck by, look at that mat of roots. So you can see this is like a pretty small pot, but this is a 15 centimeter blue glitter. And yeah, it's pretty, it's hardiness zone 4 to 8. So you can see they're really desperate to get out of the pot. So I want to get those in the ground as soon as possible, and hopefully they will be a great show in my garden next year. So let's get them placed and see how they look. All right, so I have my Eryngium here. I think it's another name is sea holly, and I've got it placed where I think I want to put them. I've got 2 on each side. I'm trying to keep a little bit of symmetry here because it is a little bit more of a formal space. You can see like how tall this one is, and I think that's going to be really striking, that blue color. So one here on this side of the echinacea. The echinaceas are done for the season. I haven't cut them back because I'm letting the birds take the seeds, and I've noticed they are doing that, so that's good news. Yeah, so one here, and then one here and one here. So I think I'm gonna have to kind of amend the ground a little bit just to get the level raised so it's even though they don't like rich soil, so I can't put in poor soil. So I guess I'm just gonna have to put in some rich soil and hope for the best. But yeah, I think I like how they look. Excited about these plants. And in my last video I did a plant haul, so I went back I got this at Home Depot on clearance, and I went back to the Home Depot and these were no longer on sale, so they were back to the $14.98 price, which almost makes me wonder if that was a mistake. But anyways, it was like kind of a start the car situation, if you've seen that commercial from IKEA.
Here's your receipt. Have a nice day. Thank you.
The IKEA Winter Sale. Get up to 50% off select items now through January 10th. IKEA.
And I want to just give you an update on these. So you can see in my last video that they were looking quite sad and droopy, and you can see that how much they've perked back up with a little bit of water. And of course they don't look the best. I have to trim off some of the leaves and do some grooming, but the plants are totally fine. It's just you know, they've been in the pot for too long, and it is the end of the season. But next year they'll go back to looking fantastic. But yeah, don't be discouraged if they look very dried out and floppy, because they will bounce back. Check out these roots. Wow, totally root bound. So I can see why they were trying to get these out, because they probably didn't want to spend the money to repot these up into a bigger pot. So yeah, I think they'll be fine. Just have to break this up before I plant it. But another reason why plants go on sale is because of it's just not worth it probably for them at the end of the season to pot all these up and wait for next year, so they want to clear them out. So good deal for me. All right, I have my blue glitter Eryngium or sea holly planted, and I tried to plant them a little bit high, so we'll see how they do next year. They have this silvery gray blue foliage and kind of hard to see against the grass, but maybe that's a better view. Got 2 of them on each side, so this is one of the rare occasions I do even numbers. Here's the other 2, and I was gonna plant them a little bit closer, but I thought, no, I'm really always crowding plants, so I tried to give them more room. So planted them quite close to the edges, and hopefully they will do well. These plants, they say they do tend to spread a little bit more when the soil is light and airy or sandy. I don't have that kind of soil. I have more clay heavy soil, so I'm not sure how they'll do. I don't think they'll spread, but I'm hoping that these plants do well next year. I'm new to these plants. These are totally a new plant for me, so I don't really know how to treat them. So yeah, we'll see how they do, but it's not too late to plant in the fall. I think there's still lots of time to get these established before the frost comes. We have a beautiful weekend ahead of us. It's Canadian Thanksgiving. It's a long weekend. The weather is supposed to be amazing on this weekend, so I am looking forward to getting as many plants on the ground as I can before it gets too cold. So on that note, I do have a Agastache sunrise, or Agastache sunrise, and I'm going to swing over to show you that I had planted back here. And you can see how eye-catching this is. So these beautiful red, well, I guess they're red. They're like a very, very bright color, and they're very eye-catching. And yeah, so these I saw in their pot from across the way, and I just had to buy them because they were so lovely. And apparently they're amazing for pollinators. They draw hummingbirds. So I had this one planted, and I wanted to get a second one. And unfortunately, I first bought the orange sunrise. This is red sunrise, and then I had to return that, and now I have another red sunrise. So that one is over here. So I wanted to plant this one at this spot, so there's kind of a evenness here, one of each. Let's show you the tag here. So this is Agastache Sunrise Red or dark pink flower, and it's a 8.7 inch pot, or 22 centimeters, so it's a pretty big one, big pot. And actually I did get that for $5 on discount, so I was happy about that. So while I'm here and I have my shovel out, I'm going to get that in the ground as well. Alright, I have my Agastache Sunrise Red Dark Pink planted, and I gotta say, this plant smells really amazing. It must be in the mint family. You can tell a little bit by the leaves. It smells so good when you're planting it. And there were, of course, slugs on the pot, so that's one of the dangers of leaving your pot in your garden bed for an extended period. God, these guys will come and make their home on your pot, under your pot mostly. So I just took it off with the plastic thing. I don't like touching them, they gross me out. But anyways, hopefully this is well drained enough. I've planted a little bit high because they don't like to be in kind of soggy soil. Very few plants do, so I'm hoping they'll do well. I don't know. This is my first time planting Agastache as well, so we'll see how that does. So yeah, this afternoon I planted plants that I don't have any experience with, so we'll just see how they do. Good thing is they were really good deals, so that's good. So even if I do lose them, I won't feel so bad. Alright, so continuing with my planting here, I thought I'd take advantage of the daylight I have. I had about another 45 minutes, so I've just got a few minutes left. But what I did was I popped in the 2 Hakonechloa grass areola on both ends. So I had bought 3 in my plant haul, so I thought that would look really good. And this is a part shade area, and my concern was this is a little bit not leaving a lot of space here for the gentleman that comes to cut our grass, so he's probably going to be cursing me when he sees that, but I think it looks really good. Looks like so fountainous, and I've never had these in my garden. Like, I've planted 2 earlier, one on each side of this pear tree we have here, just to lighten up that shady area, and I thought they look so good. So we'll see how they do, because I had bought a big pot one year, but I didn't take it out of the pot, and it just sat in there over winter and it died. So this time I'm getting these in the ground in about the first half of October, so I think they'll do well. So one here, and then what I did is I put one on this side here, so they're kind of flanking both ends of this garden bed here. I call this like a keyhole garden bed. And next to it is Honorine Joubert anemone, which gets really tall, and a Fall in Love Sweetly anemone. So I think that will do really nicely there. And I had a third one, so I thought I might as well plant that one as well. And I popped that behind this black pearl heuchera. So I've had this black pearl heuchera in there for some time. And what I found is from a distance, it kind of disappears because it is dark and because the soil underneath it is dark. So I can show you, I popped it in behind there just to kind of act like as a highlighter for my black pearl heuchera. So I think that's a really good idea. And now as I was digging there, I did dig up some bulbs. So I just popped those back in there. That was inevitable. And I just want to say, like, my ridiculous coleus is still looking amazing. And that, I really just love that bright color back there. It's an annual, but you can see it just has started to flower there. And it stayed quite small because it is such a shady area, but it kept its color. It was just amazing. So I would definitely get this coleus. It's a proven winner's coleus called Ridiculous, and I would get that again if I come across it. And this is my black pearl heuchera. And here is another one. You can see how much smaller that one is. And that one, I don't know why it's so much smaller. And this one has done really well, and this one hasn't. So anyways, I'm just going to leave that and see what happens. I have some foxglove that's self-seeded in here. So I'm just going to let that go. This back garden bed under the trees, it just is really messy because all of the leaves fall down here. So it's kind of just a hodgepodge. But yeah, so here's I think this heuchera is called a carnival. This one also is quite small. And then I had a really light one down here, which is barely there. It's got 3 leaves. And then here's another one of the really light ones. And you can see those ones just don't do well for me. That's why I kind of stopped buying the light ones, because they just, I don't know why, they just don't like it in my yard. And then here's some fall blooming aster, which I always think in the summer it's a weed, and I almost pull it, then I remember it's like my fall blooming aster. So now is the time it shines, and it is a little bit floppy, but it's nice to have that color when, you know, very little else is blooming. And I also have my autumn joy sedum. I have a small clump here that I divided from my larger clump. So here's my larger clump, and you can see the blooms are almost done, but it's a bright chartreusey color. It's starting to kind of split in the middle. That's because I didn't do the Chelsea chop and chop it halfway down in May. But that's okay. And then from this, I've recreated kind of another patch here. So I'm hoping that it grows as big as this one, and this one kind of establishes. So I might actually divide that if I have time and add some more to this side to even that out a little bit. But yeah, so that's a few of the fall blooming plants back here. And hopefully these foxglove will take off and do well next year because they're biennials. So, and there's my other aster. This one is even a little bit more floppy, but again, nice to have that color. I probably could put like a peony ring or something around it, but it's fine. And lastly, so just moving down along, the last thing I planted today was this bleeding heart, old-fashioned bleeding heart. And I just wanted to kind of put something in that back spot, and that one will just come up in spring, and then it dies down, disappears, and then it comes back again in spring again. So it's a shade-loving plant, and it's a plant that I have in quite a few places in my garden. Now I've popped it all along this line here, so I wanted to get that one in the ground as well. Kind of just in a race here to get everything in the ground before it gets too cold. But I'm happy with how things are looking, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I hope you are enjoying the fall weather. Alright, so I lied. I am back. I thought I would get these 2 spot On Pulmonaria planted back here in this keyhole garden. You can see it's a shady spot, so I think they'll do really well here. And this is the plant. It's a part shade or shade plant, Pulmonaria perennial, and it is 18 to 20 inches in spacing, and it gets 14 to 16 inches high. Hardy to -40, zones 3 to 9. So yeah, that is something that I already have in my garden. I love the blooms, so I added these two back here. Had to bump out one of the foxglove seedlings, and then I also have put this Shadowland hosta just here for now because it was in its pot and it was looking really bad. So just to give it a chance, and I will just move that in spring if it makes it, which I think it will. So I think this is a relatively damp area in the winter and fall, but in the summer it might dry out a little bit because of the trees behind it, the bank of trees, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But I'm glad I'm making good progress on planting all my plants before the sun sets here. So again, for the second time, thank you for joining me.